It is 6 o'clock, and I will call the November 13th, 2024 meeting of the Wythe County Board of Supervisors to order. This evening, we have Gary Hausman from the Berea Christian Church to provide the invocation. If you would, please stand and remain standing for the pledge.
Anytime you're asked to have an invocation for a group like this, you always wonder what you're going to say, what you're going to pray. So today, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to pray a section of scripture that comes from the book of Philippians. Paul wrote to the church at Philippi. So if you'll join me in prayer, please. Father, as we come together tonight with all the conflict and chaos and negativity that we have faced, we want to honor and to listen to and to live by the words that the Apostle Paul wrote to the church of Philippi when he wrote these. Rejoice in the Lord always. I'll say it again. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And the God of peace will be with you. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we move on to the agenda, this past Monday we had what I think's one of the most special holidays in the United States, and retired First Sergeant Cook led the pledge, and I know we have Miss Harrison in the audience who is also a veteran, but I would just ask that all the veterans of the armed services stand up so they can be recognized for the past Veterans Day. And we absolutely thank you for your service. All right, first item on the agenda, citizens' time. As always, I'll call you up and you'll have 3 minutes. Mr. Cook will keep the time. And I apologize, as always, if I butcher your name, and I would ask that you correct me. So the first person we have is Jeff Pike. That was easy when they get harder.
Everybody knows. My name is Jeff Pike. I lived at 1882 Crockett's Cove Road, and I have for 37 years. Other than Chris King and Joyce King, they've lived there longer than I have. And I'm here tonight to speak about the solar farms. As I understand, there's probably 3 sites in the cove that have the potential to have large solar farms. I'm not talking about a few panels on the barn, 200, 300, 400 plus acres. These solar farms are going to have a substation also built. You have to have a substation within 5 miles of any large solar farm. The power line runs straight across my property, which would probably be the spot that would have to be constructed. When I say a substation, we're talking about a large complex in of itself. Several years ago, we banded together when there was a threat of the interstate coming through Crockett's Cove. That's why we're in an agricultural zone now, or district now. I think what's going to happen or could happen without an ordinance passed by the board would affect not only Crockett's Cove, which is a historical, one of the most scenic valleys in the country, in the county. It will affect the whole county. Now, these farms pose not only an eyesore, which I think we could all go on Douglas Lane and see that, but you can deal with the spraying to keep the vegetation down. And it just is a lot of problems. There'll be other people here to address disposal of these panels and other issues that can arise. I'm against it. I feel like that it would affect the county very negatively. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, the next person we have signed up is Miss Annette Hall.
I'm Annette Hall, and I live at 270 Crockett Cove Road with my husband. And we moved here 8 years ago, Lois, and I'm speaking for Les Denson because he cannot be here. So I'm going to read his statement. My name is Les Denson, president and co-owner of Virginia Recycling, located in Max Meadows. I'm very concerned as I recently learned this county has not protected its citizens from solar farms. I would like to share my knowledge and experience regarding these dangerous panels. Earlier this year, Andy with Align Logistics contacted me requesting we recycle used solar panels, which would be shipped from Florida. The first hint that something wasn't right was when he informed me he would send these panels to us for free. Andy said the Florida landfills initially charged only $2 a panel for disposal, but the landfills are no longer accepting solar panels. He offered us 20 tractor trailer loads a month, again at no cost to us. We agreed to only one tractor trailer load a week so we could see how difficult it would be to recycle the panels. On April 4th, we received the first load. We quickly determined the solar panels are primarily made of glass and aluminum. They are too difficult to manually disassemble, and the cost of recycling them is $30 a panel. Of course, this isn't at all cost effective. Therefore, we sent them to the shredder. After shredding the first two loads, we were informed these solar panels create dangerous airborne glass dust. Consequently, I informed Andy we could only consider taking one tractor trailer load per week, not the 20 per month he had requested. We never heard from him again. We were quite relieved. After this experience, I began researching and learned it is not recommended to dispose used solar panels in landfills because their components break down and release toxic materials into the soil. I'm assuming that is why the Florida landfills quit taking the solar panels. I know researchers say these panels last 20 to 30 years, but I seriously question that. I find it interesting that Align Logistics, a Delaware corporation, was going to give us 20 tractor trailer loads a month for free. They said they would pay they also would pay for shipping expenses from Florida to Virginia. They were obviously desperate to be rid of these panels, and that is only one company. Think how many solar panels are put out of commission each month. How quickly will the landfills be full of these dangerous panels? Please heed my warning and do not expose our citizens to these dangerous solar farms. Now, I, as Annette Hall, I do not want solar farms in Crockett Cove Road or Wythe County.
Thank you, ma'am. Next person we have signed up is Cindy McElrath. That I was getting ready. I had the Mac part right.
Most people don't. Most people say McElrath. Good evening, I'm Cindy McElrath. My husband Scott and I have owned property in the Cove for almost 19 years now. And over that 19 years, we've seen many changes. We've seen many homes being built, our own included, and we've seen many structures erected that we didn't care for, but we've always had the attitude, it's their property, we don't like people telling us what to do with our property. But these solar farms, they're different. It is our understanding that Wythe County does not have zoning laws regarding solar farms, and this is exactly why these companies are going to prey on Wythe County, and it looks like they want to start in the Cove. We asked the board to stop these solar farms from taking over our historic cove, where a Civil War battle was fought, where soldiers died in the Presbyterian church that still stands today, where the Crockett family has owned that property for generations. The Crockett family farmhouse still sits next to the peaceful Crockett family cemetery, which is meticulously kept to this day. And then there's Cove Creek, which runs at the base of Cove Mountain, a creek that's in danger of being polluted by solar farm companies who must spray that land constantly because they cannot have any vegetation growing near those panels. So Cove's well water would be in serious jeopardy. We are asking our county leaders to protect not only the historic cove where citizens come from miles away to see the autumn leaves and the deer watch, but we're asking you to protect the entire county. Do we really want Wythe County to look like Lover's Lane? Again, we don't like anyone dictating to us what to do with our property, and we hate asking you to get involved at all. But these solar farms will pollute our water and fill landfills with toxic materials, and they will cause serious erosion, and they will lower our property values. I know you will agree that Wythe County deserves better. I'll leave you with some questions that I think every Wythe County resident deserves an answer. Has an environmental impact assessment been performed? I think the residents have a right to see those results. Have you considered how much money the county will lose when our property values decrease? Where is the electricity going? Because my guess is it's not for our area. The solar farm companies are famous for violating the Clean Water Act. How are you going to assure us this isn't going to happen to us? We're concerned about our well water, our springs, and Cove Creek. These are only a few of the many questions I know my fellow residents will have. I respectfully ask you to please consider our health and our history and stop these solar farms. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, the next person we have signed up is Miss Shirley Hale.
I'm Shirley Hill. I'm resigning 6816 Racing Turnpike in Speedwell, Virginia. We have had a tremendous flood during the hurricane that came through. And dry run, which is usually dry 9 months out of the year, flooded my house, and it did not flood behind my house, but it flooded from the neighbor's house. And they had cages built, but those cages had been washed away at earlier times. And also our neighbor had it. I have a picture of it coming down through it, and y'all can see it. It surrounded my house front and back, but it wasn't the creek behind my house. It was the creek from above the house. And if we don't do something about it, it's just going to flood everybody, all of Speedwell area. So I hope y'all will please get every organization that you can to help us out in this time of trouble and get something done. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next person we have signed up is Bob Bundy.
Good evening. I'm Bob Bundy, 601 Crockett's Cove Road. I'm also speaking about the solar farms. Right now, it seems like we have an opportunity to set precedent for the future, and as to how solar farms and things like that will be treated within the county. And I agree with Cindy. It's not like we want to control the way somebody uses their property, but the way something affects something else is pretty evident here. When we're probably some of the newest residents of Crockett's Cove. We're driving down the road and saw, as we passed, came over the hill, and just our mouths hung open about how beautiful it is. And we are blessed to have places like Crockett's Cove, but there are not many of them left. And to risk losing the treasure that we have is worth your deep, deep consideration. It's one of those things where once this is in place, it's not just while it's operating that counts. It's also decommissioning. We need to get a decommissioning bond from whoever does this to put up the money that when it's through, the property can return back to what it was. Those kind of things need to be really. That's one of the reasons this really needs to be considered as a dire thing really for our county. So we appreciate your consideration. Thank you for allowing us to speak.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Bundy.
you.
All right, next we have Miss Susan Branscombe.
I had a question that you all see a few pictures while I talk, because I'm one of those who has this on one part of my backyard and our So if as y'all know, my name is Susan Manston. I live at 19 Castleton Road, and I've been for times before. But I'm representing my family and my community. Our farm was established in 1936, and I'm a multi-generational farmer. We are a community that has now been overrun with noise pollution since the very beginning of this project, as y'all can see all of the dirt, and the dirt continues when the wind rolls. Our once beautiful serene landscape has been bulldozed over, acres of trees destroyed, and thousands of tons of topsoil removed. And for what? Greed. That's all it is, plain and simple. This land was once rich in agricultural and mining within an established old community. Your choice and lack of voice for the citizens you serve has now created nothing more than an eyesore with dust that rolls across the fields, trees turning colors beside of it, and a community that has no peace from the constant noise of the building. My cow dog, when they start up, she runs and gets on the four-wheeler because she's afraid of the noise. When this project was first proposed, they stated there would be no batteries, but a direct connection to the substation. Then they came back to you all and asked for a battery farm. Now there's 12 acres of battery farm there. There appears to be batteries or some kind of storage system every 300 feet if you look at some of those pictures. This land may never be able to be used again with potential for the chemicals such as the silicone tetracycline and the cadmium. It takes 2 times the amount of coal to make one solar panel as it does to heat a home. These chemicals can leach into the soil, the erosion and the removal of good rich topsoil, and now they're requesting yet again to harm the environment. There's 3 watersheds that run through my property that goes to the New River. So these chemicals are going into the New River, and who drinks the New River? Everyone knows. They don't go away from it. Solar batteries are volatile and heat and cold. They crack and leak chemicals into the soil and they catch fire. And they have what's known as a thermal runaway. That can be from a manufacturer's defect, it can be from overheating or short circuiting. 2 such fires occurred in 2023 in New York. What type of fire systems are in place? From my understanding, speaking with the county representatives, there's none. But there's talks in the works. What happens to the innocent homeowners who did not ask for it, nor did they want this in their backyard when a potential fire cannot be contained? Do we just lose everything from that? Do we lose our livestock, our homes, and our way of life? Look at the 5,000-acre fire from a bird in California. We've got plenty of birds here. The potential for greater harm to the communities you serve far outweighs the variance of any type for a solar farm. They'll be here and gone. What happens to the county when you're nothing but solar farms? You become a ghost town. You have nobody who's going to buy products here. You have nobody who's going to live here. And you have nothing for your children and grandchildren with a solar farm. So what do you leave your family with? Your comprehensive plan says you're to be good stewards of your land. You weren't when you voted for this project. So I'm asking you to think about what's in the best interest of your resources and the community. Y'all said before on the planning commission, Robert Rock said this, nobody can see it. Well, everybody can see it when they go down Castleton Road, when they go to the New River State Trail Park. That was a once beautiful, serene place. Everybody can see it now. What about the natural gas pipeline that travels through? What are the ramifications for that and for the power lines and our watersheds, like I said, you know? All I'm going to ask is that y'all please do not let any more solar farms come in. That 900-acre farm took $1 million agricultural business that fed plenty of people, and now it's nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next person we have signed is Kim Dunford.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kim Dunford. I live at 311 Chase Lane, which is a road that comes off of Crockett's Cove. This is my husband, Marty. We're the owners of Country Roots Farm, which is located in Crockett's Cove, and I've lived in the cove since 1990. And Marty's family are native residents of this county. We're a small family farm, 60 acres, served with beef cattle, dairy goats, boar goats, chickens, and honeybees. And we're a registered USDA farm and an apiary bee farm. And all 4 of our children raised on our farm. Our farm faces two of the landowners that are for the solar farms. Can you imagine the day we would experience trying to farm, be outside working, and the glare of the solar panels hitting your eyes? Definitely a safety hazard for us. Every day we're thankful and comment about God's beauty around us. My father, Gene Ball, owned one of the farms that is now both solar farms. Sadly, he passed away from cancer in 2021. He loved hunting, fishing, and Wythe County and the surrounding areas, as do many people. Finally, he purchased a farm in Crockett's Cove, just for the love and the beauty of it. His vision for his farm was to preserve the natural beauty of Crockett's Cove and the wildlife. He would have been so disappointed with what was proposed for Crockett's Cove, as well as many other residents. Farmland throughout the United States is disappearing, and yes, the land will still be here, but will be the same. No, clearing an area of trees or other vegetation to install solar panels can have a significant impact on our local ecosystem, destroying the animals' natural habitat, also birds and other flying species. Currently, we have 50 plus beehives. Crockett's Cove is known for its superior honey, and the honeybee normally travels 3 to 5 miles, seeking out pollen and other nectar sources. If there is no food source around us, our hives will die out. We're supposed to relocate our honeybees and livestock, and what happens to the residents that value farming and respect one another? Maybe we should all just put in solar farms and rename Crockett's Cove Solar Cove, Companies say solar panels are safe as long as they are sealed, and when they're not sealed, pollution happens and chemicals go in the air, ground, and water. When you search visit Wytheville.com, the opening page states that Wytheville is a true original because of its stunning landscape, which includes majestic mountains, sparkling water, and rolling hills. Not solar farms as far as your eyes can see. Come visit Wytheville. There's only one. That is so true. Please put zoning regulations in place and keep farmland agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
I just like to speak, just a few minutes. I guess I am a commercial beekeeper. The solar panels, I just really haven't had that much time to look into it, but I know they're going to have some way to keep ice, snow clean. Bees drink an incredible amount of water. My bees they'll know what they say. They say, well, we don't use an insecticide. They'll have a whole truck full of herbicides. That's what we use, but the insecticide is what we kill our bees. Any kind of water can do, or rain, snow, a bee will go and light on that just to get water. They drink incredible amounts of water. If a lagoon or a privacy fence, the leaching from these can be caught contained. I just don't think this keep agricultural and agriculture. But I think it'll have a devastating effect on the bees and people that keep bees in our community. We're actually right in the center of it, where it's at. So when we look out in the morning, it's going to be total solar panels. I mean, we're really in the center of it. And it's mind-boggling. I just can't even imagine. It's having a hard time even processing it. I mean, I have seen fields out west where it's just, that's where they belong. But these small communities, Virginia, we just don't have any more land. This land is, you're getting down to, when we first started, the average size of the land, our farm was 100 acres. The last time I checked, it was for 50 acres. We're running out of land, and we have to kind of be responsible for our land. Let's do that, and I know we can. Let's work together and either limit how many can be put in the area, and let's put in the practices that we need to be put in place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All All right, that's all we've got signed up for citizens' time, so I'll close citizens' time. Before we move on, I just want to touch on a couple of points. Ms. Hale, you talked about dry run. We're actually having a discussion on the agenda about a program that we're working with.
National Resource Conservation Service.
That's who it is, that we're going to talk about. So we are, I've been over there, I've seen it, and we're going to do what we can. On the issue of solar farms, there's no project before this board. They haven't filed for any permits. My understanding is it's in the study phase, but there's nothing before this board tonight to take any action. And the reason I say that is several of you, and Miss McIlrath, is that close? McIlrath. You know, everybody made some good comments, but one of the comments, she made about, moving forward with zoning in historic areas. We are working on a land use management, aka zoning light ordinance, and I absolutely appreciate everybody coming out. But when that comes before the board, that's when we need y'all to come back. Now, we advertise it, we put it on our website, we put it on Facebook. I know sometimes people get busy, you don't notice it. Everybody up here has their contact information on the county website, email, phone number. Whether you want it or you don't, send me an email. When that meeting happens, I will absolutely make sure that I contact y'all and tell you, hey, this is when the meetings happen. I've said this before, there's people out in the county that check in with me occasionally. Hey, has anything come up? No, not yet. Again, we appreciate y'all coming out, but there's nothing for us to take action, and I didn't want y'all to sit here and think we were ignoring you is the reason I'm telling you that. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize how the local government process works because they don't get involved until it affects them, which it absolutely is affecting you folks. With that, I'll shut up and then.
May I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just recently, myself and the chair and who else was it? Was down there?
Mr. Barrett.
Mr. Barrett. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Your memory's about as good as mine.
Yeah. We attended the Virginia Association of Counties meeting, and they had a seminar about these solar farms. And let me tell you, this is a freight train on the tracks. It's coming, and we're going to need your help to get this done. I've already had an email to myself opposing zoning. I don't know if any of y'all remember, but zoning came up before this county one time before. I was one of the ones that fought against it. At the time, the zoning that they proposed was very restrictive. We're working on one to be as least restrictive as we can, but still rein in these solar farms. So I just want to make sure that you all are aware. And this freight train that's coming is from the state. It's not from us. It's from the state. There's already a law out there that a certain percentage of electricity has to be produced by either solar or wind or some environmentally green technology. It's there. It's already there. And they are pursuing it. So we need your help when the time comes.
And I'll,
Did she ask a question?
Oh. We don't normally allow it, but go ahead. Since I butchered your name.
Wythe.
Twice.
Pardon my ignorance, but why can't you go ahead and put zoning in ahead of time?
We can, but we don't have a ordinance because once the ordinance is drafted, and that's what I was saying about me, once the ordinance is drafted, any ordinance that the county passes, we have to advertise a public hearing to give the public a chance to come speak according to our bylaws. You come speak, just like tonight, we've got a public hearing on a bond issuance for a wastewater project. Now, the difference between that and regular citizens' time is you get 5 minutes to speak. And you all done a great job keeping with the time. I'll just tell you again, I'm an email person. I love to see those comments put in an email. We got one from Mr. Farley, who lives on the eastern end of the county, which will be included in our official minutes that we post online. But that's what the Code of Virginia says we have to do. We'll have a discussion later on about the time frame, and I know Mr. Hankins has been working diligently. But this is something, going back to Mr. Morgan's comment about what a previous board did back in the 90s.
2004 was the last one.
Okay. We want to do it right. We're not trying to tell people what color they can paint their houses. That's not what it's about. What Mr. Morgan said about what's coming, he's absolutely right. And I own land, and about 4 times a year I get a letter from these companies, and it would probably behoove me to contact them. I choose to lease my farm to a 5th, 6th generation farmer for a price that I'm comfortable with and he's comfortable with. I'm by no means getting rich on it, but I like to go out there because I like to see cows. Sometimes when life gets a little too stressful, I just like to go out there and look at the cows. And sometimes I take a chainsaw and I'll cut something so I can feel manly. So that's the process. And I just didn't want you guys to come. I think we've all seen, the social media shares, come to the meeting, stop them. Well, this is not the meeting to stop them. But if you contact me, I will absolutely make sure the meeting to come voice your opinion when it comes up to a vote before this board. And that's as fair as we can be.
Thank you. Just one comment. I guess, again, it's Virginia Assembly, as long as they've got the Virginia Clean Air Act, or Clean Energy Act, Virginia Clean Energy Act, I think that was 2020, wasn't it? And so they're saying we have to have clean energy by what, 2050, something like that, or
2035, I think, something like that. It's closer than you think.
Yes, and they're held back from others to get that going, and there's a lot of money involved. And the only way, really, I guess, that citizens can do anything is give a good council or a good supervisor.
Could you get up on the microphone and repeat that? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we don't hear that, but I appreciate it.
But we have to get the General Assembly changed because there's too many of them in there who, they live up in Northern Virginia, they live in Richmond, and all these other areas, and they don't really care. And there's a lot of money.
Well, and not to cut you off, but this year's a 45-day session. It starts January.
Don't ask me the date. I don't remember.
20.
Starts in January. It's 4.5 hours to Richmond. They've got a Marriott up there. It's walking distance. Absolutely, that they need to hear that.
Yeah. More people, about 10,000 of them.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll shut up now. And y'all are more than welcome to stay. I don't want to run y'all off, but the rest of our meeting is not real exciting.
Well, you want us to come, don't turn around and say they're not excited.
Well, they are exciting sometimes. But like I said, shoot me an email any of us. We'll make sure, that when something does come up here, like I said, we're a very transparent board. We put everything out there. Unfortunately, sometimes, life catches up and looking at grandkids' pictures on Facebook, you scroll right past that boring government stuff. I get it. But I would do that for any issue, not just this issue, because we do like to hear from people. Like Mr. Morgan said, we've heard from people, and I used to be one of those people. When I first got elected, Mr. Baird will tell you that if I heard the word zoning twice in a room, I would get up and leave. Because government shouldn't tell me what I do with my land. However, at some point, we're elected by the people for the people. And this is one of those situations. And then I'll shut up because...
And I'll just add real quick, if you can understand me, I've had a cold. I see familiar faces. I've talked to a few of you. If you need it, this Crockett's Cove is in my area. If you need anything, continue to reach out. I'll go ahead and tell you now, I agree with everything that everyone said. So we're on the same page. Reach out to me. I'll try to let you know when we do have the public hearing for the zoning. And hopefully that will be right around the corner. So thank you guys for coming.
All right. We'll move on to our next public hearing for the bond issuance for the Austinville wastewater project. I'll read for the record. The Board of Supervisors of Wythe County, Virginia will hold a public hearing on the proposed issuance of a bond by Wythe County. The estimated maximum amount of the bond proposed is to be $1,352,415,000. The proposed use of the bond proceeds is to pay cost of capital improvements to the county's wastewater collection and treatment facilities. The public hearing, which may be continued or adjourned, and at which persons may appear and present their views on the proposed bond issue, will be held at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter, as the matter may be heard on November 13th, 2024, before the board in the boardroom of the County Administration Building, located at 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia. With that being said, I will open the public hearing. We have no one signed up to speak at the public hearing, so I'll close the public hearing portion. Mr. Baird, you have anything to add, sir?
I would just ask, Mr. Chairman, that you all approve this bond resolution. This is the second phase of the project in Austinville to replace the sewer line there, and I would appreciate your all's support.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bond resolution as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Terry and
Mr. Morgan.
second by Mr. Morgan. Is there any questions or discussion on the motion on the floor? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett, we'll start with you.
Aye.
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 So approved. The next item we have is a payment of our invoices. Each board member has received in their package a copy of the invoices that need to be paid, and I'll entertain a motion to approve those invoices.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Burnett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Cook. Is there any questions or any invoice that any board member wants to pull from the list? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry, we'll start with you.
Aye.
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 So approved. Next item on our agenda is the minutes of our previous meeting from October the 22nd, 2024. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Cook. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Morgan. Is there any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? Right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Moving into old business, Mr. Barry, do we have anything under old business?
I do not have any items, Mr. Chairman.
We'll move on to new business. This evening we have a representative from the Small Business Administration, Mr. Jim Crusoe. I've done such a disservice earlier.
I'm sorry?
I said I've done such a disservice earlier to the lady's last name. I don't even want to try anymore.
My name has been pronounced 6 ways of Sunday. I've heard it all, but I appreciate the attempt. It is a Curso. And I'm Jim Curso, and I'm a public affairs specialist with the Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. I met with Mr. Bear a month ago, and the emergency managers, and filled everyone in on the disaster loan program that we're offering, and then we have that we're offering to the citizens of Wythe County down at the disaster recovery center that we have here in town. We do offer long-term, low-interest loans to homeowners and renters, as well as businesses, following any damages that they incurred when Tropical Storm Helene came here to Southwest Virginia. Over the time frame of September 25th to October 3rd, and that's all spelled out on the fact sheet that I provided, and I believe is also in the center. We encourage anyone that had any damages that were not made whole by any assistance that they were getting from FEMA to consider our loans, long-term, low-interest loans. We can help homeowners to the tune of $500,000, $500,000 for the physical structure of their home, and then for the contents of their home, $100,000 they can give a long-term loan. And any renters, anyone else in the house. So the homeowner can get the $500,000 for physical damage and for contents, and then a renter can get up to $100,000. A business owner can get $2 million, maximum $2 million for the contents or the physical, for the building itself. It's been a long day for me, I'm sorry. For the building, and then for any contents of the business, so inventory, supplies, and the like. And then businesses are also entitled to apply for an economic injury disaster loan. That cap on that is also $2 million. The terms of the loan are between 15 and 30 years. The interest rates are 4% and less. The deadline to apply for the physical damage loans is December 2nd. And for the economic injury disaster loans, the deadline to apply is next July 1st. So we encourage anyone to come on into the center and talk to our trained and experienced customer service reps. We're there 6 days a week, likely through December 2nd. We could be a little bit longer, but at the very least, we will be here to December 2nd. And we are in the multiple centers that FEMA is operating. We also have our own business recovery center down in Galax, but we operate within the FEMA disaster recovery centers too. So we encourage anyone with any questions, any concerns that they have to consider the loans. There is no fee to apply for the loans. There's no obligation to take the loan if it's offered. And anyone who's offered a loan has 60 days to decide if they want it or not. We also offer, on top of that, mitigation coverage up to 2 years after the loan is provided to you. So any changes that you made to your structure to keep a disaster from causing any damages to your home, you could get up to 20% of the amount of the damages on top of that first loan, and you have 2 years to apply and get mitigation help from the Small Business Administration. So we're here to help here in Southwest Virginia, as well as the many other states that were impacted by Helene, and we encourage folks to come in and talk to us.
All right. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Just a quick question. It's my understanding that the funding's been put on hold until Congress approves additional funding.
Yes.
Is there any timeline on that? I mean, I know that's.
Yeah,
Are you all?
Ms. Lawson, my understanding that was to be, once Congress came back in session, and I've not been apprised of if anything's happened in that regard.
Okay.
But we are still encouraging people to come in and apply, and then, you know, once those funds are there, then they, if they, are awarded the loan, then, you know, they will work with the loan officer and the money will be given to them. But I've not heard of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have anything? I don't have a question. I just have a comment. And if you missed it earlier, it's apparent that I'd like to give my opinion. But and I know this is absolutely not a reflection on you, but you know, I just find it hard to believe that we have to pay interest on our own money to help people get through a disaster. Again, I know this is way above anybody in this building,
Right.
but I assume the program is funded by taxpayer funds. That's where the government gets their money. But the cheapest interest rate you offer is 2.8%. And again, not a reflection of you. I appreciate what you're doing for our citizens, but that disturbs me.
Well, it's for the first year, there is no interest accrued, and everything is deferred. Payments are deferred the first year, Chairman, and there's no interest accrued then. But I will take your comments and make note of it. I have to say it's the first time I've heard that concern, but you know, even though they are extremely low, and comparative to a bank rate or comparative to what the normal SBA offers, but I will take those comments into accord and make a record of it.
All right. Does anybody else have anything? And again, like I said, that is absolutely, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everything y'all are doing. That just kind of struck me as, you know.
It's a very astute observation. Like I say, I've not heard of it.
Well, I haven't been called astute before, so between what you said and the lady earlier, it's, you know, I'm going to stop and get a lottery ticket on the way home because it might be my night. So, but again, we do appreciate you folks being here, working in the disaster center that we opened up, trying to help our citizens. But thank you.
Well, we appreciate the ability to set up there and to serve the folks. And like I say, we're there 6 days a week through at least through December 2nd. So appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on.
Mr. Astute Chairman of this tremendous board. Would you allow time on the agenda for FEMA for Miss Kathy?
Yes.
And I'll destroy her last name again. Brosius? Okay. Thank you.
Don't tell him that. Come
Yeah,
on
come
up,
on.
ma'am. I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm back. I was here last month, and I brought along Ryan Smith with me. He's the new regional supervisor for the county.
Sure. I just rotated in about 5 days ago. I've got 7 counties here in this area. I just came from spending the day in the city of Radford with the emergency manager at a pop-up site we did there. And look forward to working with your emergency manager here, getting to know the area, and working to make sure that we're meeting the needs of your citizens.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure working in your county. I will be here until the 23rd in your county, and then I'm transitioning out. You will still have an intergovernmental person to soundboard off or send any questions that you may have. It'll be more of a remote type of situation instead of somebody being actually here in the county. The other thing that I did want to mention is I did email the board, and I believe Stephen, the debris pickup schedule, which will be on the 25th for your county. And then the other thing, and I know it was short notice, I sent it out this afternoon, was we had a Zoom call to discuss community disaster loan program that we have, and that is tomorrow at I think 10:30. So I did send you all a meeting invite. If it might be really good information for at least somebody to log on and listen what's available for your local government here.
Yeah, and I was gonna say when Mr. Bear said y'all were coming, I was wanting to say thank you because the amount of information that you pushed out to us, and of course, you know, our PIO was able to get it out on social media. But when we get those phone calls at home, it's nice to, y'all have absolutely gave us every piece of information about every program and everything y'all are doing. So I do appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you again for having us.
Well, we hope you don't never, ever have to come back. No offense. If you want to come visit, you know, the lady earlier talked about the visit, you know, the tourism website. Come back and visit, but not in your official capacity. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me, Mr. Baird. All right, next item on our agenda is our Fort Chiswell South Sewer Extension Phase 1 bid awards.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I got a little bit of a wordy message there or memo whether to you about it, but basically we had bid this project and the low bid came back in at 2.8, which was way above our budget. A large portion of the bid price was the cost of the pump station. We reviewed the cost with Little B Contractors, who was the low bidder, and they agreed to remove the pump station line item, which was about a $1.7 million, and we would proceed with separate procurement of the pump station and controls. We did receive those, remove that out. We met with Walker, we talked about it. We did receive the separate bids. So I would request there's 5 items there. I do not see any reason why you could not take action on all 5 of those together. But basically, number 1 would be to award the contract to Little B in the amount of 2.8+ million and approve change order 1, deducting 1.7+ million from this contract, resulting in the final contract of 1.109,583.06. Award the pump station to East Coast Utility Contractors for $634,150. The pump controls to Wood Equipment for $79,337. Generator to Carter for $34,590, and the drum scrubber to Pure Air Filtration in the amount of $7,800. This roughly comes in about $1.8 million total on the entire project, which puts us within our budget range and much better than the $2.8 million that we originally came in with the initial bid. So I appreciate Pete and Bortz and staff reworking all of this bid and coming up with a much better price option. As you can see on page 140 of the agenda is the total project budget, including engineering and inspection fees and everything else, of $2.151 million. So a tremendous savings from what the original bids were. So I would just, action items would be to press approval of those 5 items. You can do them separately, Mr. Chairman, or combined together if you would like.
I'll just entertain a motion to approve the Fort Chiswell South Sewer Extension Phase 1 project as recommended by Mr. Bear.
So moved. Second.
And I'm sorry, if you will make that contingent upon final DEQ funding approval. We are waiting that from them, but that'll be contingent upon that.
So moved.
Second. All right, have a motion by Mr. Morgan, a second by Mr. Burnett. Is there any questions or discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett, I'll start with you.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So approved. All right, anything else under new business, Mr. Bear?
No, sir, I do not have anything.
Mr. Hankins?
Not this time, sir.
All right, we'll move on to board reports. We've got Building Grounds Committee.
Yes, Chairman, the Building Grounds Committee met on November 6, 2024 and recommends proceeding with the flooring repair work at Burn Springs Fire Department as proposed by Garland/DBS Incorporated.
All right, committee, it doesn't need a second. Is there any questions or discussion on that recommendation? All right.
Just for note, Mr. Chairman, the funds for that come from the capital budget. They were carryover funds from last year.
Does that lead to any questions? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye.
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 So approved. Is that all from Buildings and Grounds? All right. Next, we've got Budget Committee.
I'll take care of that one, Mr. Chairman, since Jamie's gone. The Budget Committee met on November the 6th, 2024, and took the following actions. The first, extending the personal property and real estate tax due dates to January the 31st of 2025.
All right, again, come from committee. It doesn't need a second. Any questions or discussion on that one?
We're doing it again, and that's not. It's got to be fixed. And this is what, third year?
I've lost count.
Fourth year. We've had to change the tax due date because they can't get it done in time. And it's always been the computer. Well, after 4 years, I would think we would have the computer fixed.
Well, I asked the commissioner and the treasurer to attend the budget committee meeting. I had hoped that the commissioner and treasurer would come here today to give you all an update and an overview of their time frame and what has taken the time in doing this. But unfortunately, they are not here, so I cannot defend their actions or what's in the process. The information that I received as of this morning is when I emailed you all earlier this week or end of last week, I guess it was, with the dates. They have one issue with personal property. That issue was resolved as of Monday. That was resolved, and they are ready to finalize the tickets on that. So I can't tell you the tickets will be out this week, but basically all the computer issues, all the timing issues, all of the assessment issues, all of whatever issues they have had that they've gone through over the last 5 months are reportedly resolved, and the tickets should be going out. They just, in fact, Miss Gwen had asked, was basically holding the real estate tickets, is my understanding. They were about ready to go out. Just wanted to confirm which date to put on them, and just needed to make certain you all approved this at the meeting.
How long? Have we advertised for the new software?
No, that is the project that comes right after this. We were building that. We have to build the RFP for that new software. Did not want to take any time away from them in the process of working on what they needed to get the tickets out in order to put the RFP out on that.
We don't need to wait.
Absolutely. That is the next. Once these tickets go out, this needs to happen. Yep.
All right. Does anybody else have anything?
So just to make sure I understand, people will get their real estate tickets or bills hopefully within a couple of weeks. You're looking at maybe the end of November. So that still gives people a good 2 months.
I don't want to commit to that. Ms. Gwen really needs to be the one to answer that question. It is my understanding that should be the case, that they should be out within the next week or two in the process.
I just want to make sure that we're giving people enough time to get their bill before the due date.
Well,
I have to come back and change it.
Yeah, that was the discussion, was that would give plenty of time if there was any issues. And as soon as I will have her confirm as soon as they're going out, the information goes out to you all, so we can put out also on our social media sites that the tax tickets are out.
If I'm not mistaken, and you or Mr. Terry, when we met, we were looking at what their time frame was, and actually they were wanting to go early, mid-January, and we decided just to put it on the 31st. Just to,
keeps it easier.
Exactly.
For people.
Plus, I like to hold on to my money, so.
They first wanted to keep it the original date, and I just asked a question: Is that reasonable? Can it be done? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, let's not leave it at the date. Let's just move it. But I'm just gonna say it. I'm a straightforward guy. It's gonna hurt some feelings, but the elephant in the room is this: about 250 people have been smarter in Wythe County last November. We wouldn't be in this vote.
All right. Does anybody else have anything? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Aye for the last time.
Aye.
No
Aye.
more.
So approved.
Number 2, establishing the following accounts and amending and appropriating the stated funds, tracking Hurricane Helene recovery efforts, 4401-443-055, water Helene recovery for $25,000, 4402-443-055, wastewater Helene recovery for $5,000.
Again, comes from committee, it doesn't need a second. Does anybody have any questions on that one? All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry?
Aye.
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 So approved.
And the last one, number 3, making application to the USDA Emergency Watershed Protection Program.
Again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Is there any questions or discussion on that one?
Can you explain that one, please?
Yes, I will. Martha, if you will also, if you will go to page 149. This is, I hate that the Hales left here, but basically, we had concerns about, as the Hales have brought up, the dry run, what flooded down there, brought a tremendous amount of river rock down into the community that she's talking about, filled a lot of that bottom with river rock, took out some gabion baskets that she talked about the Corps of Engineers had put in there years ago. This is basically on private property that the stream runs through. This is it's the National Resource Conservation Service is the ones assisting with this, and we have to make application to them. But basically, this is where we make application to them to come in and assess these areas and see what things they would need to do in order to repair those stream beds. The reason why I asked Martha to bring this picture up is when they sent me this information, this is not exactly like it, but this looks a whole lot like what dry run looks like if you go down there. And what has happened is what used to, and I'm making up numbers here, but what used to be maybe an 8-foot deep stream bed is now only a 2-foot deep stream bed because of all the river rock that's been deposited through there. And the concern is what happens at the next rain when it doesn't have an 8-foot stream to go through. Is it going to flood over into these people's homes that much quicker? So we, in order to get funding for this, we have to make application within 60 days of the event in order to have them come and look at this. Now, the catch on this is it does have a 25% match, and the locality would be responsible for that 25% match. Now, there is some discussion and things taking place about getting waivers on that 25% match. But basically, they will come in. We will identify areas to them. The Dry Run area and the Rudisill Road area coming down are two of the areas that need to be looked at. But we would also reserve the right to also have them look at some stream or some debris damage areas in the stream in Reed Creek area and also potentially on Cripple Creek. But in order for us to get assistance, we have to make application. I brought this forth to you all just because it does have the potential of a 25%. But they have told me that they will come back to us with the estimates and the cost before anything is actually done.
Good. All right, does anybody else have anything? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Burnett? Aye. So approved.
And that's all from Budget Committee, Mr. Chair.
All right, we'll move on to Board of Supervisors time. Mr. Burnett, we'll start with you.
I have a few items. Last week I had an opportunity to talk to a few residents, and they was talking about the new water billing and their abilities. And they tried several times to make card payments over the phone, and couldn't for whatever reason. And so I didn't try to call it myself, but I'm assuming that you can. And maybe it was just something, a miscommunication or something. But, and then, the next was I had quite a few people talk about the tax tickets, and again, I'm with probably everybody on the board that we need to make sure we do what we can to ensure that those tickets go out in a timely fashion. And that's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lawson.
Mr. Burnett, will you mind emailing me those individuals that had problems so we can get in touch with them if you have that, so we can see what we can
I don't
find?
have that information.
Okay,
It was-
thank you.
It was a lot of people. So.
No problem.
Ms. Lawson.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Cook.
The only thing I have is, I want to commend the new, people in charge of the trash collection points. A whole lot nicer people to deal with than there were before. Like I said the other day, I went out there and I can take it out of my truck myself, but it's got the little tailgate you can push in the car before you get out. And I pulled up and pushed the tailgate dropped. By the time I got out, the guy had the trash out of the back of my truck and threw it in the thing. All I had to do was close the tailgate, and that never happened before, ever. So I'm very pleased with the new trash people, and I'd like to pass that on to them, that they're doing a good job.
I'm meeting with them tomorrow. I'll pass that information on. Thank you.
I've never seen people work so hard at the convenience centers,
Exactly.
especially the one on 52.
Yeah, they had the compactor pulled out at Retreat where they're pulling the new pad the other day, and I went up there and it was empty, taking trash, and of course, you know how it gets on the weekend. So they had enough forethought to, make sure everything was empty, and I echo everything everybody said. So
that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Morgan.
A couple of things. The new aviation program, or that they're trying to get started at WCC, they want to come here and make a presentation. Can we get that on the agenda?
Absolutely. Y'all have any problem with them making a presentation next meeting? Ms. Collins and I will see if we can get in touch with them.
As long as I ain't got to go with the plane, I don't.
No, this is basically drone.
Oh.
But they're calling it aviation. So. Also, the email we got from, and I'm bad about this name too, Armin
Brew Beckner. I have spoken with him. I've talked with our staff about everything, and I am meeting with we'll be contacting him again to go over the situation.
Okay. Have any individuals signed up for this private bridge assistance repair? Did you know?
I don't know, but I'll turn and ask if FEMA has any information. I do not know if they have or not. I know a couple bridges have been repaired, and there's some tremendous expense with them. But I do know that I believe it was Mr. Kinser and maybe Mr. Taylor were taking those directly to those individuals that had those situations.
And I was wondering, does this apply even if the bridge has been completely washed away? It's gone?
I do not know, but I will work on getting an answer for you on that. I do not know. I had the impression that it was for any damage, missing, or anything bridge in the process.
As long as it's to a private residence, as long as you're living at the residence.
Okay.
I was advised that apparently the one in Jonestown Road has been reinstalled.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That was quick.
Don't know if the boarding, that they're not going back with a concrete deck, but they're going with a boarding deck across it. But they worked with a local construction firm, poured some more concrete, and salvaged the steel. Some of it looks a little bent, may have been bent before, I don't know, but they have got it back in place.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
So I would just mention that bridges are a unique thing. So if you let us know the locations and the addresses, we'll figure out. Depends on what the bridge accesses. If it accesses just one private property, or if it accesses multiple properties, or if it was built by the county or a city or a number of things come into it, and the more I learn about the bridges and what's eligible, the more I learn that I don't know everything about them, so we'll need to look into it. They're a unique situation, so, Mr. Barrett, to get that to us,
Yep.
we'll look at that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, anything else, Mr. Morgan? All right, Mr. Terry.
No, sir, thank you very much.
I've talked enough tonight, but I do have one thing, Mr. Baird. So the election's over. With that being said, we've got a project out here at Progress Park that has been mothballed. The Commonwealth of Virginia has done what she committed to do. Wythe County has done what we committed to do. The town of Wytheville has done what they committed to do. The federal government, however, has not committed or has not done what they committed to do. So sometime in mid-January, and you might want to start now, I would like to have a meeting with Congressman Griffith, Senator Kane, Mr. Scott, I can't remember the CEO from Blue Star's last name.
Meyer.
Yeah, Mayor. Anyway, let's have a sit down and just see what we need to do to get this new administration to come through with the funding that everybody thought was there. Be glad to. And it's time. You know, they've held up a valuable piece of property through no fault of their own. I think we have been very kind because we understand the situation. But yeah, it's time that this project moves forward.
Absolutely.
So that's all I've got. Next item on our agenda is a closed session under Code of Virginia Section 2.2-3711A6 contract negotiations for emergency services. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Terry, second by Mr. Cook. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now in closed session. Mr. Cook, a second by Mr. Morgan to come out of closed session. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're now back in open session. On the record, Mr. Terry, if you'll read the certification.
Whereas the Wythe County Board of Supervisors has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors that such a meeting was conducted in conformity with the Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by the Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening this closed meeting were heard, discussed, and are considered by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors. And I'll make that a motion, Mr. Chairman.
All right, have a motion by Mr. Terry. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second by Mr. Burnett. Is there any questions or discussion on the certification? All right, here now we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Terry.
Aye.
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 Aye. So approved. Mr. Baird, do you have anything else to come before the board?
No, sir.
Mr. Hankins?
No, sir.
Mr. Farthing?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right. Here nothing else to come before the board, will be adjourned.